Happy Monday morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. We have a lot to cover in this video, the real royals, and of course, Harry and Meghan. And I brought even more proof that they were taping for Netflix. There seemed to be some question about that. So I brought lots of receipts for you guys again. So buckle up. Let's just jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We are going to start this morning with the Duke of Edinburgh, who was at the Cornwall Civic Office the other morning. As a matter of fact, he was in a lot of places. One of his first stops was in Truro, Cornwall, and where he met members and students of the Learn Your Way program. Then he opened up Kay's Cider House at Healy's Cornish Cider Farm, which is a family-run farm in Cornwall. Next up, Cheryl McRory, the MP for Truro, greeted Prince Edward on his visit there. He was received at the Hall for Cornwall. Very nice. He went on a tour of the Hall for Cornwall, which reopened in 2021 because they had a huge refurbishment. And the focus of the tour was the legacy of performing arts in Cornwall, but also how history and heritage informed the modern Hall for Cornwall. Apparently the hall is a very iconic part, according to this article, from Truro's cultural and economic past. It was built in Italian architecture style. Very nice. Now, Edward also went to see the new Cornwall Playhouse. He toured the building. He met the staff. They had a specially commissioned performance by an all boys dance group. They had lunch after that with seafood that was caught by some of the fishermen from Cornwall. Very nice. So he was very busy. He was running around, seeing a lot of people, meeting a lot of people. I'm very happy to see him out and about and actually looking better. You know what I mean? Okay, moving on. Moving on to Prince William, we know that he has the Tusk Trust. Well, apparently, while he's getting ready to go to New York, because remember, he's doing the climate change campaign, the Tusk Trust raised $150,000 towards their work. Part of that work is supporting Rangers. We know that several of the Rangers were murdered, and I think it's fabulous. They did this fundraiser at the Hamptons. It was hosted by Amy Green and Gary Green at their home and raised $600,000 with a quarter going to Tusk Trust. I think that's fabulous. Next up, we have King Charles, who went to visit the Kinross Day Center. He met, according to the listing on Twitter, members of the local community and people of Broke Not Broken, which is a group that aims to tackle the effects of poverty in the area. They delivered 2,000 food parcels across Kinross, supporting more than 5,000 people last year. Wonderful. Now, while he was there, he asked if there was a good butcher in town. So they rushed to the latest, get him the latest venison products. And the equerry came back to shop with thanks, saying the king will give everything that he got to the chef at Balmoral that night. Very nice. The king also stopped into a children's hospital. He met 2 children, a staff nurse, volunteers, and they gifted him with his name spelled out in their special alphabet designed by the children they support. Wonderful. All right, next up, King Charles and Queen Camilla went to the Bedford St. Leger Festival at Doncaster Racecourse today with racing advisor John Warren to watch the races. Well, all I can say from these photos, look at Camilla's face and Charles's face. This must have been one hell of a race, let me just tell you. I don't think I've seen that much expression in Camilla's face in a long time. It was obviously a very rip-roaring race, but it looks from this last picture like their horse probably did not win. They look just a little irritated to me. So the king and queen, with racing advisor John Warren, spoke with the jockey, whose name was Tom Marquand, before the race. So who knows what effect that had on anything. All right, moving on. All right, let's move on to Harry and Meghan. This comment really caught my attention on Twitter. If Harry and Meghan are such a superpower popular couple, then why do they need the royal family to step in and support them in Invictus? Because remember, they're still now the royal family's being blamed. They blame the royal family for everything. But if they're such a power couple, maybe it's because they're not as popular. Maybe it's because the Invictus game is upset that no royals from anywhere are supporting them. And they basically said what I said. Maybe they should look at Harry and Meghan for that information. And we're going to cover that a little bit later. All right. So Harry had his 39th birthday on Friday, which was day 7 of the games. And so he and Meghan went out with members of their team, their close team, and they went out to eat in a German eatery. But the big thing that everybody's talking about is not the German eatery or the great location or the fabulous menu or any of that. It's the fact that, we know that Harry's got a drinking issue, and apparently he drank a lot, like 6 beers at dinner. So they took the whole team from Archwell, who, by the way, is there. They went out to this place, and the owner took the picture and put it up on his Instagram. That's how everybody knew where they were. Could you imagine? All anybody wants to know is you knocked back 6 beers and left a good tip. Shocking. Well, then the next day during Invictus, the crowd decides they're going to sing happy birthday to Harry. So according to this article, Harry didn't even realize he's so thick, or maybe he's hungover. He didn't even realize what was going on, and Meghan had to rub his back to clue him in as to what was going on. And then he got embarrassed, and Meghan was just loving it and laughing and clapping, and they were canoodling. You guys know where this is going. Yeah, they were so happy. He's such a lovely man. Look at this fake laugh of hers. Guys, they sang happy birthday. And by the way, he was not the only person having a birthday that day. He's just the only one that they acknowledged, which in some fashion I think is even worse. So of course, the next day after singing happy birthday and knocking 6 beers back the day before, now Harry's knocking, by the way, those are the size of the beers in Germany. He was knocking back some more. Meghan took his beer. Look at Harry's face. Yeah, he looked so happy that Meghan took his beer. It's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, doesn't Harry just look so happy here? Yeah, I bet you're having a good birthday there, Harry. All right? Now, I find it interesting. They're bringing up again the fact that King Charles is not marking Prince Harry's birthday publicly. They do not remark on the birthdays of non-working royals. And it really irritates me that people go, that's so mean of Charles. It's so mean. Why doesn't he do that? Well, I hate to point this out, but for the last 3 years, Harry and Meghan have not wished one member of the royal family a happy birthday. Not his father, not William, not Catherine, not even the children. And then it was pointed out that, this year Harry wasn't with his kids for his birthday. Last year, Harry wasn't with his kids for his birthday. Could you imagine the book those kids are going to write when they're older? It's going to be a kicker. And please keep in mind that the royal family does not comment on projects or anything else like that with non-working royals. It's true. They don't. Moving on. All right, now really quickly, I want to touch, 2 of you had comments about the whole Nigeria connection. This subscriber of mine pointed out that Nigerians are some of the best hackers, swindlers, and fraudsters in the world. Ooh, that's a thought. Now, another subscriber of mine said that Nigeria is a very well-off country. Maybe she wants to become the unofficial ambassador. And also, a lot of you pointed out that Nigeria is a country, not a ethnicity. I can't say that word. All right, next up, I've told you guys before, children and animals, they can sense things. They just know inherently when things are not good. So the little girl, Meghan walks over to talk to the little girl, and she literally got up and ran off. She wanted nothing to do with Meghan Markle. Can't really blame her. Good for you, kid. That may be the same kid who didn't want the medal from her. I'm not sure. Also, they kept reporting how Meghan's posing for selfies. That was the day, by the way, these girls right here called her over going, we're the Sussex squad. We're here for you, Meghan. And instead of saying, well, I hope you're being nice to people, I hope you're not the group that's threatening people. No, she went over, she's smiling, she's taking pictures. These girls in 10 years are so gonna regret this. I'm telling you. Anyway, as I told you the other night, she's back in her element. It's all about taking the selfies. It's all about being the center of attention, being the star, waving at people, wearing different outfits. She's turned it once again into the Meghan Markle fashion show. We're going to cover that also in just a few minutes. But some other things have happened also, which absolutely floored me. I mean, really. So here's the first big slip up that I just went, oh my God, I can't anymore. They had Meghan Markle marching with the veterans and the winners of the medals down some, I don't know, it wasn't a road. There were people on either side. She was playing with her hair, as you can see. She's marching in front of the British athletes. Now, somebody explained to me how this woman was in short shorts, like really short shorts, shoes that basically were flip-flops, to completely inappropriate, outerwear. And she's marching in front of the soldiers who actually served. Whose idea was this? Because it was a bad one. I mean, really. Okay, look at this picture. There's Harry in the back left as they were sending them off down the line there. Meghan has nothing to do with the Invictus game. So I'm not sure what this was supposed to be, but sunglasses on, sunglasses off. And she was marching these people down the line. Okay. So then it gets worse, you guys. Now I won't play the sound for you on this, but if you heard the sound, nobody was clapping. They were supposed to be clapping, but nobody was clapping. People were just I think they were just as stunned as the rest of us that these people were walking down. There was a little smattering of applause, but for the most part, it was completely silent. And then Meghan gets down there and she starts putting medals on these guys. So I'm guessing the trade-off for not giving a speech at the end of Invictus was to be put into things like this. I mean, she's marching in front of British soldiers in short shorts and flip-flops. Whose idea was this? Now, somebody asked if she had marched with the soldiers before, and the answer was yes, she had. The night before, she and Harry marched in with the soldiers, took their places. It was unbelievable. They marched, they faced, they turned at the same time. I was just like, when I saw this, I couldn't believe it. So apparently this has been going on throughout the entire thing for these medal ceremonies. Meghan inserted herself into every medal ceremony that there was. Okay. Now you see the camera there also. We're going to touch on that as well. So Netflix is filming. Okay. They are filming. There they are again. I've slowed it down for you. You see the camera. That is not TV. That is Netflix. Well, here comes Harry. Uh-oh. Netflix camera. Here it is in a little bit slow motion. That is Netflix. That is not TV. That is Netflix. So for those who have said Netflix is not taping, you are wrong. And here they are here as well. They are taping for next year's whatever, for Netflix. Now, the next day, Meghan changed into yet another outfit for another award ceremony. So they're standing there. This was just shocking when I saw it. They're standing there to give medals to, the people. And they clap as they're announcing the people. Harry goes over first and he goes to hug this woman. This is that paramedic who used her GoPro to take the illicit photos. Well, Meghan doesn't like it. Meghan immediately jumps in, puts her hand on Harry's back, tries to get in there, literally separates Harry from this woman. Listen, don't believe me. Watch the video. She walks up, puts herself in the hug, and then literally pushes Harry back and pushes the woman over. Look at her, separating the two of them, pushing Harry backwards. Unbelievable. Now, after that, Meghan went over to give medals to the rest of the team that were there waiting for their medals. So poor Harry couldn't get anything done without Meghan pushing him backwards. I just, look at his face, like shocking. Now, not to finish or undo anything, Meghan decided she was going to read a book to children. The book is about a female engineer who sees inspiration where others sees rubbish. Put out by Penguin Random House. The book was called Rosie Revere Engineer, and it says in the article that she read to a hand-picked group. What does that tell you? They had to find children that were willing to sit for her. Now, you guys know what was going on this entire time. All she did was prance around in different outfits. As a matter of fact, it was reported that in one day, she wore more than 200,000 pounds worth of clothing and jewelry. Not much of a difference from what she did last year. Now, while she didn't wear super expensive clothing, and this was all part of the rebranding, remember, of Meghan Markle, it doesn't change the fact that she used the Invictus Games as a fashion parade again. Nothing changes. I mean, on and on. The whole thing was Fashion Week, and I agree with Kinsey Schofield. This is exactly what Kensington Palace didn't like. The merching. She was always merching what she was wearing. It was always in the news what she was wearing, how much it cost, where it came from, what was the designer, you know. And the thing is, it was very, very, very disappointing because it got to the point, you guys, where I couldn't even tell you what event was going on, who won the event. Before Meghan got there, Harry was wearing Invictus gear, okay? And he was interacting with everybody. After Meghan got there, he wasn't doing that anymore. He was color coordinating with her to make sure that they, looked normal, that they looked the same side by side. What should have happened was Meghan the whole time should have been in jeans, white jeans, black jeans, blue jeans, whatever, with different Invictus shirts. That's what should have happened, not this. Then Harry and Meghan turned on the charm for the Canadian team and their delegates because they want to have the next Invictus Games in Canada. Problem is, a lot of the Canadian taxpayers don't want them there. Why should these people who are multimillionaires multiple times over have their hotel paid for, have their security paid for, have their flights paid for? Because that's what Germany did for them. But they're multimillionaires. Why does anybody need to pay for any of that stuff for them? Canada is up in arms. They don't want them. It'll be interesting, I think, to see if they actually end up in Canada for the next Invictus Games. Here's the truth of it, guys. The Invictus Games were going well. There was good press coverage and everybody was loving it until Meghan showed up. And when that happened, Harry looked like a spare part. Everything was about Meghan. Anytime you Googled anything about the Invictus Games, all you got were pictures of Meghan and what outfit she was wearing. There were hardly anybody there. There are multiple pictures that show the stands were empty. They tried to take pictures from certain angles to make it look like the stands were full, but they weren't. There were a lot of areas, lots of people were not there. They want to make you think that it was a big success, but the truth is it wasn't. It was not a big success this year. Royal News Network pointed out the numbers that in order for it to have been what they said it was, then the games had to have had 140,000 spectators, which is triple what the Orlando games had, which is just not possible. It's not real. So in order to make it look like a success, they've hyperinflated all of their numbers. Now, there were a lot of comments on Twitter like this one about the British royal reporters because they were doing PR for Harry, who accused them of being racist, and they were ignoring the veterans. Their job was to bring attention to the Invictus Games, was to bring attention to the veterans, was to bring attention, to those sorts of things. And that is not what happened. And I have to say, it is the reporters' fault that the vets weren't covered. Why weren't they covering the veterans, especially the Daily Mail? You would have thought they were Meghan's personal PR people. So finally, we get to the last night, the closing ceremony. Meghan comes out in this dress with Harry. First of all, notice all the empty seats around her. I don't know what the hell was going on here. So Harry gets up on the stage at some point. He starts trying to speak German. I speak from experience. His German pronunciation was horrible. He shouldn't even have bothered. He came out. There was hardly any applause. He's giving a speech. He kept stopping, pausing for applause. And when he's pausing, there's no applause. It was very cringeworthy. And of course, at one point, Harry said, you don't need to rely on your uniform. You shouldn't feel lost without one. Well, I guess that depends on which uniform you're talking about, Harry. Now, they're reporting that his speech was tearful and, Meghan brought the glamour. He doesn't look any happier next to Meghan in this photo than he did next to Meghan in the previous Invictus Games. She was very animated during the closing ceremony. Look at her. But watch it again and just look at Harry. I've slowed it down for you. Harry's looking around. Harry just seems absolutely lost. Now, you should know, according to Neil Sean, people at Invictus are looking for another patron because Harry stated that without Meghan, he's not going to be patron. The problem is Meghan isn't wanted, full stop. I can totally believe that. Now, according to Teresa Longo, who, we know always has their finger on the pulse of everything, a lot of athletes wrote letters into the Invictus board complaining about the way things went this year. And please don't believe that WME didn't have a hand in on what was going on here, because they did. Now, apparently the veterans did a signature, board. Somebody wrote Diana's name on there. And of course, Meghan was signing it right above Diana's name. Why is she signing it? She's not a veteran. So here's my point, guys. You see this gentleman above? That is what the focus of Invictus is about. That is what the reporters should have been reporting about. The whole thing became the Meghan Markle pony show. And it's not because she's popular. This is what the reporters did. And as long as the focus is not on the gentleman like the one you see above, I'm not interested in Invictus. A lot of people aren't interested in Invictus. And shame on Invictus board of directors and trustees for allowing that to happen. Shame on you. Harry is so far down the rabbit hole, he'll never come out again. That's why the trustees are supposed to manage this. It's horrible. All right, you guys. You know what to do.